you're doing well. We are Team Kharavela. We are going to present our project of communication skills on the scarcely discussed topic, how humans save nature. Kharavela. Kalinga Chakravartin Samrat Kharavela was a powerful Indian king who ruled over the ancient kingdom of Kalinga, present-day Odisha, in the 2nd century BCE.
His military conquest, strategic brilliance, and administrative prowess made him a formidable opponent for the rival kingdom of his time. His effective use of elephantry, cavalry, and infantry led to the victories over the kingdoms of Anga, Atwanika, and Satvana dynasty.
In order for his men to be able to win, he is said to have eaten flesh from his own arms when his army started to run out of supplies during expedition.
Along with his military skills, he had great skill in administration too. His era is marked as the golden era of Kalinga, leaving a lasting legacy in history. His leadership and military prowess make him one of ancient India's greatest warriors.
Now we shall introduce ourselves.
Hello, my name is Swayam Shubham Sahu.
Hello everyone, my name is Sahil Sahu.
I am Siddharth Vish.
Hello, my name is Sharaditya Ghosh.
Hello, my name is Shon Jain. Hello, my name is Kausal.
First of all, we would like to thank our institute, NITRR, and our professor, Dr. Anup Kumar Tiwari, for providing us this golden opportunity to do this project.
This project has given us a really nice learning experience and exposure regarding the mostly unexplored topics, the positive impact of human beings on the environment.
It has also given us insight on the requirements to make a proper video and the ways which we can make it effective. We have put in a lot of effort in making this video. We would highly appreciate constructive criticism of the video. So let's begin with
Human beings have done amazingly well over the last half century. In 1950, there were just 2.5 billion people on Earth. Today, there's more than 7 billion of us. The percentage of people living in absolute material poverty has declined from around 85% in the early 1800s to just around 15% today. Everywhere, infant mortality has been going down, and almost everywhere people are living longer lives. Unfortunately, all of our success has come at a high cost to the natural world. The number of wild animals on planet Earth has declined by half since 1970. Why do we care about the fate of the remaining golden monkeys in Rwanda? After all, we will also be as materially rich if they are gone and live long lives. I could try to make up a rational reason, but for me, after spending a morning with this mother and her baby and looking at them now, looking at the way the mother is looking at her baby, her eyes, the way the baby is looking at the world with that curiosity and excitement, it touches something deeper in us than rationality. Couldn't we say the same thing about the children of Rwanda? After all, we don't know them. We are not Rwandans. But we care deeply about them. And we don't want 3 billion people to continue to rely on wood and to be trapped in poverty. My name is Michael Schellenberger, and I am the president of Breakthrough Institute. We are a research organization that's committed to a big goal: lift all humans out of poverty and return more of the earth to wild nature. Over the last few years, we have been focused on a particular question: how humans save nature. This may sound like a strange thing to look at, given everything I have just mentioned, everything we hear about the environment. You might even wonder, do humans save nature? The answer is that we do. What we have discovered is that we do in a way that follows what turns out to be a hidden pattern, with specific elements that are really true around the world at different moments of time. One of the things we found is there's a number of trends that are actually going in the right direction on the environment. If we take the right actions today, the overall size of the human population and our overall negative impact on the natural world could peak and decline not by the end of the century but within a few decades. But there's a catch, and that's that we will have to confront some deep seated fears that we have about the world, and we will have to confront some important misconceptions. To begin, if there is one thing I want everybody to remember, only one thing you get out of this talk, it's that humans save nature by not using it. And this may sound strange because it seems like we are always using nature in some ways. But what I am definitely not saying, what we have definitely not found, is that we save nature by using it more sustainably. Our research suggests that we don't save nature by using it sustainably, we save nature by not using it. What do I mean? We will take a closer look. Humans use about half of the earth, half of the land surface of the earth, the part of the earth that's not underwater or under glaciers. Of that half, about half of the human impact is meat, or 24% of the earth's surface, and another 10% is crops. Another 9% or so is for wood production, and this is really amazing. Just 3% of the earth's surface we use is cities and suburbs for the place that we live. What's important about that is that now half of the humans, 3.5 billions of us, live in cities and suburbs. This will prove to be a crucial part of how humans are going to save nature and how our negative impact will peak and decline.
So let's take a closer look. I have mentioned that there are three ways in which humans save nature. The first is we save by not needing it. I said before that we save nature by not using it, but we only don't use the nature by not needing it. What do I mean? Many of you know that here in New England, including in New Bedford and much of Massachusetts, whaling was a huge industry in 1800s. Mostly we hunted whales for their oil, and we used their oil as an energy to light up our lamps. Then something happened. Some of you may know what happened. Around the middle of 19th century, this cartoon in Vanity Fair magazines, I think, says better than any. It's a celebration. It's a party. You see the whales are dressed up in tuxedos and ball gowns, and it's in 1861, and what the caption is, grand balls given by the whales in honor of the discovery of oils wells in Pennsylvania. We save nature by not using it. We save nature by not needing it. We didn't need the whales anymore. We had a better subtitles, and it was a kerosene we made from abundant and cheap petroleum. We didn't save the whales by using whales more sustainably. We didn't save the whales by having more efficient lighting to burn the whales more efficiently. We saved the whales by not hunting them. This is New England in 1880s. There was only 30% of it forested at the time. Most of the rest was farmland. This in New England today, 80% forested. 80% forested. Martha Vineyard was really a large sheep farm in 1900. Today it is mostly forested. When you fly over it, you can see the world, the beautiful forest. Yesterday I saw a wild osprey, several wild osprey in New England, and much of the rich world nature is returning. The forests are growing back. Why? These farms mostly went bankrupt, and we mostly didn't need them for their land anymore. We became more efficient at growing more food. We grew more food on less land, and we saved all of that nature, allowing forest to grow back because we didn't need it. Look at this amazing photograph of Hong Kong. Look at this beautiful green forest that surround Hong Kong. Hong Kong is not able to save that beautiful nature, but it doesn't need it and but it doesn't need it for growing food or for using it for energy. They have made an incredible city, and people say if you go to the city you will be alienated from nature, but look, they can walk into nature from Hong Kong. Nature is right there. They have wonderful access to it. This is an important part of how human impact on the world will peak and decline in the century. Most of us are going to move to cities, and we are going to return more on the earth to nature and wild nature in particular. You may wonder that sound nice for Hong Kong, but what about poor countries? What about developing countries? What about all slums? Isn't it really about industrialization, about factories where the conditions are terrible and people are treated miserably? That was certain my view. That was certainly my view. 20 years ago, I was involved in efforts to hold Nike and other corporations accountable for their labor practice in other countries, particularly in Indonesia. It was successful effort, and Nike did make some improvement. But 20 years later, I went to go back. I wanted to see what had happened to the workers. Had their lives really improved materially?
I met this young woman. Her name is Suparti. She is from a rice growing village in the countryside. After high school, she decided she wanted to join her aunt in suburbs of Jakarta and work there in one of the factories. She got a job in a Barbie factory making clothes and cutting threads of the Barbies, and it was terrible. She was verbally abused every day. She went home crying every night, and she did something extraordinarily brave, and that is that she quit. But she didn't want to go back home. She didn't want to become a rice farmer. She wanted a better life for herself from the city. She struggled, but she found home. but she found a better job, and she found a job in a chocolate factory. She's become an extraordinary labor activist and a women's rights activist. And when I met her, she was very positive about her future. She has 2 cell phones, she has a motorcycle, and she just bought a house. And she makes 4 times more money than the people back in the village farming rice. She is now saving money to send her parents to Mecca, which is the dream for Muslims around the world. This is what happened since 1960. We are growing much more food on smaller amount of land, and it's one of the mankind's most extraordinary achievement with great benefits to the natural world. We use half as much land per person globally to provide our food. That's only possible for Suparti to live in city because she does not make her own food, and we are making more food for more of us. Before he died, Jacques Cousteau had a similar vision for oceans. He knew that a rising human population, a rising consumption, would put enormous pressure on wild fish. Wild fish is the last set of wild animals that we in modern world still eat. While the fish farming is still in its early stages, it's still a young technology and has a long way to go. It's going to be crucial for us to release wild fish and returning more of the ocean to wild nature. So the first way we save nature is by not needing it. The second way is that we have smaller families. I mentioned Suparti, and now that she lives in a city, she wants that life for herself. She wants the freedom. She can date who she wants. She can marry who she wants to marry. I asked her about her family history. Her grandmother had 13 children, her mother had 6, and Suparti said she wants to have 2 kids, but sometimes she wants to have 4 kids, and that is by choice. In a countryside, a poor farmer needs a lot of kids to help in retirement. In the city, you can invest more in fewer kids. The trends consistent around the world as women become more powerful, more educated, and as they have more income. They are able to do more things with their lives. Choosing to have fewer kids, you can see it right here. Even though the overall population has grown from 2.5 to 7 billion over the last 50 years, you can see here that We don't know what is going to happen next. You see, there is one scenario that we keep going up and another scenario that we keep going
What
down.
will determine whether we go up or whether we go down? These are two different estimates by two different leading demographers. The high population estimate, where it would go up to 16 billion or more by the end of the century, is the world of low energy, wood, dung, and charcoal, and large families, mostly in the countryside. A world where the population peaks at 8.5 billion and then declines by the end of the century is the world that looks a lot more like what Supati is living in, with high energy, smaller families, and moving to number 3, the third part of the 3 ways in which we save nature, by using more high-tech forms of energy. This is Maisha. She is one of the 900 remaining mountain gorillas left in the world. As a baby, she grew up in Africa's oldest national park in Congo called Virunga Park. In 2007, her parents and much of the rest of her group were killed by men making charcoal for energy. Since then, that's a number of well-meaning efforts to plant trees to help people in the region burn wood more efficiently. And the situation has only gotten worse. We visited it in December of last year. This is a picture of the park, an aerial photo that we took high above the park. You can see here the fires in the park, here, and here. Legal charcoal burning in the park. Why? Because people needed. We need that nature. Over 90% of the people depend on wood for fuel. We didn't save the whales by using whales more sustainably, by using whale oil more effectively. We saved the whales by using a different kind of energy, by using a substitute. This is a Supati. Supati, like young women who move to the city everywhere, uses propane, what we use as camping fuel, similar to natural gas that we all enjoy. It's an important substitute for 2 to 3 billion people that still depend on wood and dung as their primary energy now. Propane is a fossil fuel, and that means that as the poorest people in the world gain access to modern energy, we are on schedule to have a lot of global warming. This is from the Nobel Prize winning United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. You can see historical emissions, and you can see in the different colors various possible futures. You can see there are different possible increases. We could go to 5 degrees above pre-industrial temperatures. We could go 1 degree under pre-industrial temperatures. It depends on choices that we make today. This is Shanghai. As more of us move to the cities, we are going to consume more energy. For everybody to live at a moderate living standard, a basic material needs met, the world is going to need to triple, perhaps quadruple the amount of energy produced as from today. If all of that energy is fossil, we are going to see much more significant climate changes. What are clean energy options? There's not many, but still there are. There's solar, there's wind, there's a little bit of geothermal, there's hydroelectric dams, and there's nuclear power plants. Solar and wind are wonderful. I have spent much of my professional career advocating for more solar, for more wind, including the wind farm off the coast of Cape Cod. But solar and wind alone cannot power Shanghai at night. And there's a lot of exciting development in batteries. But we are so far away from being able to power cities on batteries.
Geothermal is great where it's available, and it's not available in many places. Hydroelectric dams have mostly been built in the rich world. We have mostly dammed the rivers. And even in places like China, many of the rivers have already been dammed. That means we have to take a second look at nuclear power. When I was boy, my aunt took me every August to Bittersweet Park, where we would remember the Hiroshima bombings. We would light candles, putting them on paper boats, pushing them into the ponds, and meditate over war and morality and responsibility. A few years later, I saw a television movie about aftermath of nuclear war, and in high school I saw the documentary of Hiroshima about the horrors of nuclear war. I was anti-nuclear my entire life, and then I confronted this data and the challenge of meeting global energy and development needs, and also dealing with one of our most serious environmental problems. And I have changed my mind. In that time, I have spent a lot of time understanding the technology. Fear is really important emotion. It wakes us up to the world, it makes us aware of risk, but if we allow fear to drive us, we can end up making decisions that actually put us at greater risk. So it is important to understand what the scare is. It is important to understand nuclear power. This is a nuclear plant in California. You can see it is a remarkable piece of technology on what is the equivalent of about 3 football fields. Lots of surrounding green nature. It provides power for 3 million homes. You can see it is built up 3 times higher than tsunami that affected Fukushima. That's backup water. In case there is power outage, they can keep reactors cool. These domes are containment domes, which means that if there is meltdown, no radiation will escape. And you can see here all around it, natural life and sea life exists. Because nuclear power is zero pollution, one of the things we have learned about energy production is that from the environmental perspective, you want the least natural resource in the least amount of fuel in, the most amount of energy out, and the least amount of pollution and waste. You can't walk alongside a coal plant and not affected by the smoke. You can with nuclear. It's a serious issue in terms of pollution. And what nuclear provides? Power 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to power big cities like Shanghai. What about the accidents? We hear so much about the accidents and we have reviewed all of the peer-reviewed scientific literature. Independently done, and here is what it shows you. The first thing to keep in mind is that 4 million people die every year from disease related to inhaling wood smoke. From 3 billion people that rely on wood as their primary energy, 4 million die from respiratory illnesses. This is measurement of power plant. Number 1. The most dangerous form of energy is coal. They look at accidents and air pollution. But the remarkable thing is basically all the dead is in blue. You can barely see the green line up there are from air pollution, petroleum, second best or second worst, natural gas, and improvement and nuclear. I push the button and it doesn't come up because the number of deaths is too small to register on this chart. The former NASA climate scientist James Hansen did a study using a standard public health science and calculated that 1.7 million lives have been saved by nuclear energy. What nuclear does, it's leave the fossil energy in the ground.
We save nature by not using it, by not needing it. With nuclear, you don't need fossil. What about the waste? This is the waste from Pilgrim nuclear plant, which provides 14% of Massachusetts electricity. A lot of people fear this plant. A lot of people fear California's plant. This is the waste. It's just sitting there. It's not hurting anybody and it's not going anywhere. We have a couple of people watching it. People say, well, but that waste is going to around for 10,000 years. If that were true, even if that were true, that small amount of waste would be, I would suggest a small price to pay for universal prosperity and returning more of the earth to nature, not to mention the public health benefits of zero carbon power. But here the thing, the waste will not be around for tens of thousands of years. It may not be around for several more decades. One of the most exciting collaboration right now between United States and China is to develop two molten salt reactor. One of the first commercial reactor that uses that waste as fuel. 95% of the energy is still in the so-called waste when it come out. There is no major scientific breakthrough needed. It's going to be a thought technological challenge, but it can be achieved. Another team led by Bill Gates and another team of MIT engineers are all work on the same thing. There are actually other groups as well.
We would once again like to thank our institute and Dr. Anup Tiwari sir for giving us this opportunity. With this, we in Kharavela hereby remain.
Thank you.
Thank you.